Welcome to the Nittany Report, brought to you by the SteelFlyers All Sports Network. How you doing? I'm SteelFlyers, and that's right, we're bringing you week 2 of the Penn State football program, calling it the Nittany Report. What do you guys think? So far, so good. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm going to run with it. So that's what we're going to do. We're calling it the Nittany Report. And we're going to break down the game for Penn State versus Ohio Bobcats. That's right. This is the first game at home for Penn State, so it's the first slice of home cooking for the guys up there in Happy Valley playing for Beaver Stadium. And let's just say this, it was packed, rockin', white, warm, and beautiful and perfect day for football. Here's a little interesting tidbit fact. Back in 2012, the Ohio Bobcats beat Penn State at Beaver Stadium, and they wore a different helmet. That is a different helmet than what their current helmet design is right now. So, for the game today, for the game they played against Penn State this past Saturday, they put on their old logos and old helmet designs for the game that they won back in 2012. A little gamesmanship there. I like it. Okay, come on. Okay, so here we go. Last week, Ohio played a really good game against Appalachian State, one of the better teams in the MAC and Mid-Atlantic Conference. And so they put up 45 points, and Curtis Rourke, the quarterback for Ohio Bobcats, had a very similar game to what Sean Clifford did last week, with the same kind of results. A lot of points. He had 5 total touchdowns. 1 he ran in himself, and 4 he threw for touchdown passes, and had a banner day. Wasn't quite the same situation coming into Happy Valley this past week for the Bobcats. Rourke played a really good game the week before. Incidentally, his brother used to be the quarterback for Ohio Bobcats and is now playing up in Canada, which is where Rourke is from. So he's hoping to follow in his brother's footsteps, or maybe even make it into the NFL. Who knows? We'll see. Pretty good quarterback. He's got good size. He's got good arm strength. Quarterbacks up there in Canada, the field is a little longer and a little wider, 72 or 73 yards as compared to 52 yards, the American field, and it's 120 yards long, where ours is 100 yards. So, not including the end zones. So there you go. But kid's got good arm strength and pretty nice team around him and things of that nature. However, they ran into the Nittany Lions, who, although are unranked, and I'm glad that they are. I'm glad that Penn State was not ranked this year. But let me just throw some quick little fun things at you here while we're looking at things. Okay, so on the day, all day long, okay, last week Penn State gave up over 400 yards total. This week was a whole different ball game. You like that? It's a whole different ballgame. Okay, only gave up 263 yards. Once again, not giving up 100 yards rushing. Not too far shy of it, 99 yards. Also did the same thing last week against Purdue, only gave up 70 yards. So, defense playing stout against the run. Porter played really well this week as well. He played pretty good last week. I thought that the defense kind of gave up some more of the splash plays last week, more of the 20-yard plays and things of that nature. That was not the case this week. Things were pretty locked down. In fact, Ohio only got 10 points. They didn't even cross the 50-yard line until after the second half, right? So, and Penn State, Clifford, and company got out to a much faster start this game than they did last game against Purdue, where it was almost the end of the second quarter to where they finally started putting points on the board. Penn State, within the first drive or two, was putting up 7 points. Clifford had a really good day on Saturday against Ohio. He was 19 for 27, 213 yards, and a touchdown. And then that was this first half numbers because he didn't play the rest of the game. After that, we got Drew Allar, who came in and played. He didn't even play the whole second half. Right, yeah, because it was kind of already out of reach by then. You know what I mean? And Drew came in and threw 2 touchdowns, going 6 for 8 and 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that really put the game out of reach for Ohio, and they just weren't able. I mean, everything that they threw at the Penn State defense, Penn State was there. Chop Johnson played really well. Joey Porter Jr. played really well. I was really impressed with how the defensive line played. They had pressure on the quarterback. They were able to snuff out those runs. They did get a couple of trick plays, but they had to be trick plays in order for them to kind of get any positive, real positive yardage. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I'm okay with that. If you're going to give up yards on trick plays, all right, I'm okay with that. And they didn't score on those trick plays, so I'm okay with that too. You know what I mean? Defense played a lot better. Offense played a lot better. And I'm not taking anything away from Ohio Bobcats. MAC, one of the leading teams in the MAC, Mid-Atlantic Conference. So no slouch team. It's not like it's a high school team, but it's not Ohio State. Okay, and it's not Michigan or Michigan State, but all in all, not a bad second week for Penn State, being able to come in for some home cooking in week 2 and putting up a good win in Happy Valley for the group. I'll tell you what, one of the things that I was really impressed with, and that is Penn State's running back, Nick Singleton. By the way, broke the streak this week with not having a 100-yard rusher for Penn State in over 17 games. So thank you, Mr. Nick Singleton, for taking care of that record. He almost had that in his one run. I mean, look, this is why this young man is impressive. Coming out of high school, top recruit coming out of high school. Guy's really thick, has a thick body, thick frame, good low center of gravity. He's one of those kind of running backs that's going to be that Penn State running back. I mean, he fits the mold perfectly, and he will be that guy. I think that's gonna be able to carry Penn State. He was able to put them on their shoulders and just run all day long. On his 81-yard run from scrimmage for his first touchdown during the game, he still had like 25 yards to go, and guys were starting to catch him, right? The defensive guys were starting to catch him, and he just like shifted it into another gear and just said, "Oh, see ya." And that was what really impressed me. And the fact that he was able to take those carries and get those hard short yards, but then have that ability to bounce it out and have that speed and just shift it into another gear and just, be able to take off and leave other people in their dust. I mean, it was a good all around game. Tight ends played well. Wide receivers played well. Offensive line played well. There were some times where Ohio was able to get some pressure in on Sean and company as far as the defense on the other side of the ball for Ohio. There was a couple of times, but for the most part, he pretty much had all day to just kind of sit back there and do what he needed to do. And if it wasn't there, he was making smart decisions with the ball, tucking it, or taking the sack or tossing it out of bounds. Look, I think Clifford's probably not going to be a starting quarterback, as most Penn State quarterbacks usually aren't. But I think he'll be a good, serviceable backup quarterback, more so than I think like McSorley was, because he's not a running quarterback, and he's a little taller, a little thicker as far as that's concerned, and more of a pocket passer than McSorley was more of the running type quarterback. So I think Clifford, after being a 6-year senior, is going to have at least a career in the NFL if he so desires. I mean, he already has his own business and whatever the case is, and he said he wants to play in the NFL. So, all right, good on you. So, all in all, though, I'd have to say a good win, though, for Penn State and company, getting that good win there up there in Happy Valley for week 2 there against Ohio Bobcats. Next week, though, gonna be tough at Auburn. That's going to be a yardstick game. I'm here to tell you. Because if Penn State can play well against Auburn and maybe not beat them, but play them tough or have a close game, oh, you might have to start paying attention to Penn State a little bit more. Other than that, this is Steel Flyers. You can catch me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. You can also check me out on the web at www.steelflyers.com. Check out all the great stuff there on the website. This is Steel Flyers for the Nittany Report. We'll catch you all next week after the Auburn game. We are Penn State!